Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
How come I gotta run into a squirt like you nearly every place I go these days? What are you trying to do? Show off in front of your friends? Fine life, ain't it? Just trying to stay alive. Not really living, not enjoying anything, not getting anywhere. Just trying to keep from getting killed.
Eddie don't mean no real harm, Mr. Ringo.
If Eddie don't mean no harm, then let him keep his big ugly nose out of my business before it gets slapped.
Jimmy Ringo is a legendary gunfighter who wants to hang up his guns and takes one last shot at a normal life with the woman he loves and the son he left behind. But it's not so easy to walk away from the outlaw lifestyle. Even though he hasn't come looking for trouble, trouble seems to find him around every corner. Jimmy's reputation casts a long shadow. The clock is ticking. There are vengeful brothers on his trail, and a young gunslinger looks to make a name for himself. Can Jimmy outrun his past and start afresh, or will it finally catch up with him? The Gunfighter was directed by Henry King. King was widely considered one of the finest and most successful filmmakers of his era. He was nominated for 2 Academy Awards for Best Director, and directed 7 films for Best Picture. The film was the second of King's 6 collaborations with Hollywood legend Gregory Peck. Peck was a true Hollywood icon who starred in so many classic movies, including The Guns of Navarone, The Omen, Cape Fear, Roman Holiday, Moby Dick, To Kill a Mockingbird, and my personal favourite, Big Country. Although not amongst his most famous films, Peck considered The Gunfighter as one of his personal favourites. He pulled out all the stops for this role, he even grew an authentic period moustache. The producers were not so thrilled with the facial hair, but by the time they found out, reshoots would have been too expensive. The role of Ringo was originally offered to John Wayne, but he was forced to turn it down. Wayne did eventually make his own version in '76 with The Shootist. William Bowers and William Sellers' script was loosely based on the real-life exploits of the actual Western gunfighter Johnny Ringo, a distant cousin of the outlaw Younger family and an enemy of Doc Holliday and the Earp brothers. Most people today think of Michael Bion's portrayal of Johnny Ringo in the outstanding film Tombstone, but Gregory was there first. The Hollywood version is a little more poetic than reality. Although Ringo sought a reconciliation with his estranged family, his conciliatory gestures were rejected. What then followed was a 10-day alcoholic binge that ended in a fatal gunshot wound, probably self-inflicted. Alfred Newman was among the first musicians to compose and conduct original music during Hollywood's golden age of movies. Newman and his 2 fellow composers, Max Steiner and Dimitri Tomkin, were considered the 3 godfathers of film music. He is perhaps best known today for composing the fanfare which accompanies the studio logo at the beginning of the 20th Century Fox productions. This is not so much a review, but more of a recommendation, with no spoilers. The Gunfighter is a bit of a forgotten classic, but is highly regarded by those in the know. It has a high rating on IMDb, 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes Critics Review, and a 94 on Metacritic, making it one of the highest rated westerns and is in Metacritic's top 100 films of all time. The Gunfighter is a nuanced story in all the ways modern screenwriters seem incapable of today. It is masterfully directed with great performances across the board. It has a classic respect, retribution and redemption arc. It has many of the same themes as Clint Eastwood's final western. Will Johnny Ringo be unforgiven? While production techniques have improved beyond belief since the 50s, and sound and visuals continue to advance to greater and greater heights, in comparison the stories, the essential foundations of a great movie, have lost a sense of realism or credibility that comes from real-world experience. Stories today seem to exist in writers' rooms where too many voices and a committee mentality in search of equitable utopias and childlike versions of reality are the order of the day. Money and a quality product are now secondary to ideology. Imagine if we could have stories of the caliber of the Gunfighter combined with the modern filmmaking techniques. A new golden age of Hollywood would soon be at hand, but don't hold your breath. A reformed outlaw that wants to make amends before it's too late. This is the essence of man. But I can only give this film a 4 on the manly meter, as a true man would never have deserted his family in the first place. Now it's time for me to ride off into the sunset.
I've changed, you know. I'm different now, Peg. I just want to be somewhere. Don't you understand?